Hey guys, it's Ducon Red One, and welcome to episode 20 of Chateau de Lumiere. First of all, I want to give a huge shout out to Taraago, one of your fellow viewers who has made that absolutely incredible Lumiere banner before you right now. He is an incredible artist, and he is up for commission. So if any of you want to have a logo or some kind of artwork made for your channel or any type of anything that you need, his Gmail and Twitter are down below where you can contact him. He is mostly Russian on his social media. However, he does speak English, and he's a great guy. I would definitely suggest him to anyone. So if you guys want some great artwork, go find Taraago and show him your support. And yeah, huge thank you to him. So here we are. We are in the crypts, down deep under the foundations of Lumiere. And so instead of me kind of telling you guys like what's going on, I'm going to more or less focus on the lore of what this is, what we have here before us, so that we're not so kind of like, what is all this? Why is it here? It doesn't really make sense. So, long ago, when the Empire was first making its southern advance into the southern, of course, part of Abathon during its great conquest, there was an ascendancy, pretty much, a religious group that pretty much focused itself around magic. And the Empire was formed under the mission to try to control magic, because magic came to a point where it was just so powerful and destructive that the Empire needed to form. It was a group of humans that formed this empire, and also we can say dwarves and other races haven't fully developed that idea yet, but it's predominantly humans that created this empire, and they're against the heavy use of magic other than the registered use of magic. So if you're in the Empire and you're able to use magic, it's only a certain gene that can use the magic. There's only a few people that can use it, and so they would be registered under the Empire. But if you're not unregistered, then it's kind of like an unknown for the Empire, and so they kind of like imprison you or hunt you down. And it sounds really bad, but in reality, it's a way to kind of keep magic under control so that it doesn't become terrible, which is why the Empire was formed, but we're not going to get into that. So Lumiere, back to Lumiere. Where did it come from? Why is there crypts underneath it? Why are the crypts Elven? Like, all these questions, like is Ducon gonna tell us what all this is? Well, here we go. So Lumiere, before the humans were here, long ago, the elves, or a similar type of race, more of a supernatural race or magically inclined beings, founded this region because they found the crystal underneath. The crystal derives from the corpse of an ancient dragon that chose this spot for a place to die. Due to an ancient cosmic battle. There's some weird lore behind dragons as well. Again, something we don't really want to get into. That's another whole ballpark. But anyways, the dragon chose this area to pass away. And what happened is its life force pretty much, when it dies, it continues. And it causes this like energy to flow through the groundwater, causing these crystals to form. And the groundwater seeps into, of course, the up above ground, and it makes the lands around Lumiere super lively and vivacious, just full of life and vibrance. And the elves figured out, or whatever race we decide, some kind of supernatural race, but anyways, some kind of race, they found out just how powerful these crystals are, and it allows them to shield themselves more or less, to reach deeper into the realms of chaos, into the energy quote-unquote zone, and be able to produce a much more incredible type of magic for their needs. Of course, they were experimenting here, and they would bury their dead because obviously that fed the life energy. Death feeds life in this kind of like cycle thing with this crystal, because somehow when something dies around this dragon, like even like fallen leaves from trees up above, just any kind of death just really just brings this crystal, like grows it faster and stronger. and the crystal just becomes just like this super powerful energy source, more or less. But the humans don't know that. When they have founded this area and they found the crystal, they first thought, oh wow, this is like really cool stuff, let's just go ahead and use that for, like, you know, just sell it. But it's quickly turned to ash, and then again we'll get into that later on. But the elves, they found out a way to use it, and they built this this temple or some kind of like college or something up above ground, and then they built all these crypts down below, and it kind of intertwined into their religion as well, because most of the elder races worship this god called Aether, which is something there's a lot of things that are just too much to explain. So you have Aether and Hexus, and the elder races, the majority of them worship Aether, and then you got the majority of humans and more of those type of races that worship Hexus and the Pantheon, which is just another whole ballpark. But there's just so many ballparks. Goodness gracious. That being said, though, when Lord Basilone, the Justicar and the Imperial Legions, he's actually the founder of Lumiere, when he first found this region, he was given this edict by the Empire that Justicars and other such higher-ranking officers were allowed to claim regions that they conquered. And when he brought his cohort / legion into this region, I feel like I'm a rapper now. But when he brought them into this area, they found this temple, they conquered it eventually, and then they were like, all right, so let's go ahead and build our castle here. And so when they did that, they started, you know, he obviously had to continue marching, but he allocated a lot of his personal resources into masons and architects and workers, laborers, etc., to start building his mansion, while he was again marching his cohorts deeper into the southern of Abathon for the war. But as you can see right here, we're making this like crystal kind of like bottom to this crevasse here. The reason for that is they've thrown all of the Elven, they've exhumed all of the Elven bodies from out of all the tombs, and they throw them down into the crevasse down here. And like I've said before, the dead bodies produce this crystal, so that's why there's just so much crystal down there, and it really produces this really neat atmosphere, especially if you have the right shaders. So what happened up above, originally these crypts were not found. When it was only found during a certain stage of the building process when they started laying the foundations. Using a lot of the rubble from the temple that used to be above, they built the foundations of Lumiere, and then they started quarrying stone from different quarries around, or a quarry around, maybe around the foundations of the castle to make it more cliffy versus being a soft or a smooth hill. That's probably why you got cliffs as they are around Lumiere. They basically probably quarried around the foundations, and then that's how they built the rest of Lumiere. But during this process of quarrying, they possibly dug into the entrance that leads down into the crypts here. And so when Basilone came back from his conquering of the south, maybe he maybe he had an injury and he had to come back because he no longer could serve in the military. He came back home. They found out the crypts, and then they went down here. They basically pillaged everything. They took all the artifacts they could find of the elves and anything that was here that was of any value, and they made an incredible amount of money from that. And so from that money, that's where the riches of Lumiere started to build. And also because Justicar, Basilone was so, he was a rather significant figure in the military at that time because he had some kind of really incredible accolades. His resume was just, pretty impressive because he had conquered so many things, and he was just a really respected military commander. And so on top of being, rich from all these artifacts, he was also super rich because of all these, I guess sponsorships, and I don't know how that all worked out, but he was just really famous, and so he was really rich. So we'll just say that. But in any case, they then started seeing this crystal, and they were like, well, let's go ahead and try to use some of that crystal. So that's what they try to do. And mysteriously, almost right after they harvest the crystal, maybe a day later, the crystal just turns to ash, in their hands. It just melts pretty much. And then they start to realize something's up. they look outside their windows and the lands just start to wither. Like, it's not just like a day thing, like just like that. Like, just consider, like, you know how summer, like fall turns to winter, you know, the leaves start falling and everything just starts dying. Just consider that, like, everything just starts dying, and then they suddenly realize that this crystal has this, like, this power over the region, like, stop mining from it. And so they make this edict in order for their people not to ever mine the crystal again. And so they start to realize, you know, that there's some kind of properties to this crystal that causes the land to be as vivacious as it is. This is a really simplified version of the lore, by the way, but I'm trying my best. But in any case, that's what they do. And it eventually turns to a point where Basilone just gets really, like, you know, overstressed by it. And eventually he passes on, and there's just all this, you know, really crazy lore in between. But to the main events now. The crystal is actually the power source. The reason why this entire cycle is going on in this region is the old dragon had died, but the power of its life is producing an infant dragon. So what we're going to do when we get to the crystal cavern, it's going to be an egg or some kind of chrysalis or something along the lines of just something really magical that's being produced. So maybe it's another, I'm thinking it's going to be another dragon that's kind of using the energy of this crystal in order to what would you call it, mature and incubate, whatever the term is there. And so this dragon is basically being born, but it takes like many years, like maybe 1,000 years, just something random like that. And this so that's kind of like the whole point of this whole, like, crazy stuff. So the elves had a way to moderate it. Like, they knew that this was an infant dragon that was being born, but they knew a way in order to not really affect that process, but at the same time utilize the benefits of this process to their specific needs, and delving deeper into the magical layers of space and time and all that crazy mumbo jumbo that you would consider for magic users. But in any case, I hope that this gives you a greater idea of what this lore is all about. There's just a lot of really ins and outs and complicated backstories and all this crazy stuff. And a lot of you are going to say, why don't you make a world about this? Well, we are. There's a team of us right now creating this world. And if you guys stay tuned for future episodes of Lumiere in this channel, you will definitely learn more. So don't go far. Alrighty, guys. So finally, after 66 hours of building, can you believe it? We have finished the underground. I am so excited to finally be able to present this video to you. And this is only half of what we're going to be doing for the underground, because we still got the crystal caverns to go, and the there's gonna be some more stuff. It's gonna be pretty crazy, but I am glad that we partitioned that video into two, which I wasn't originally planning on doing, but I believe that there's enough content here to do so. But in any case, we got a lot of exploring to go, and I hope that you guys are as excited as I am to present it. As the time lapse, I didn't really showcase everything. I just kind of showcased main points. Well, some main points, and there's a lot of, like, kind of rushed time lapses there, but overall it gives you the idea. So I hope that it doesn't really cause too much of an issue, but I really do I like it. So in any case, if you guys want to watch any of this underground part of these underground parts while they were being built, feel free to go ahead and check out the description down below. There's, like, I don't know, 20 streams of the things that I've done in order to make this possible. So go ahead and check that out. And if you want to see any of these specifics done, built firsthand, check out those streams. But yeah, so this here is the crystal crevasse. And as I told you guys in the time lapse, like, the whole lore behind this is pretty crazy. I'm super, it's been like a developing process. Like, I kind of, like, develop the lore as I go along, and it's just been really cool. So through here we got, like, the this is like the first part of the crypts here. As you can tell, this is the split right here. So this goes to basically everything that we've done for this episode. And then if you go down this way, that's going to lead down then through to the next episode of the underground, which will be a that'll be quite a lot of work. But then you come through this way and you have like this little stairway. You can either go right or you can go left into the caved in portion that's right now being excavated by the humans. They're trying to get it all cleaned out. I should make it more of a process, like showing there's a couple wheelbarrows here, and maybe they're trying to get all of that stuff out of here. Maybe they're throwing it over the edge. That would probably make sense. But yeah, so that's that. Got a couple little places in here where they can throw things. Where is my... There we go. Needed some light. Unfortunately, this shader has really fritzy dynamic lighting. I don't understand why it's not smooth. I do have dynamic lighting on fancy. I just don't understand why it's so fritzy as it is. But hopefully you guys are still able to see pretty well. It works pretty well for me in terms of it doesn't really bother me too much, but we might change that later on. So I kind of wanted to indicate that humans are down here bricking up these pillars to try to make the overall look of these tombs being more human. I liked that idea. I thought it was a nice little addition there. As you can see, there's kind of like mason materials, and then he'd be sitting down here trying to lay a brick facade around it, a little bit of scaffolding around to try to make it happen. I think that it's a pretty good little idea there. We just needed some more human presence down here. And if you go into here, this is one of the first tombs that we did. Honestly, when I first started, this was going to be the design of all these tombs. Very small, little tiny things. Well, that plan changed and kind of expanded about 10 times, so we ended up with these pretty crazy tombs here later on. But I'm pretty happy about that. I'm happy that we did. Otherwise, we want to have just this all these epic things to see. Ceremonial sword there, some kind of, maybe it's the sword of the family. Yeah, so that's that. And now we head down this way a little bit. We got some runes there, maybe depicting some kind of battle or maybe some kind of religious thing going on there. Here we have a classical style tomb. I dedicated a few of these tombs to certain people in the streams while we were building. This particular one is dedicated to Tiger Bread, with that little T up there. And then as you can see, it's very classical, like almost a Roman/Greek look to it. And if you go down here, it shows it goes right into the crystal crevice down here, as you can see. So that's all the crystal down there. And if you go up this way, you got all this. And I wanted to put these Harlan flowers along the caves to make it a little bit more, add some light, you know? I thought that was a neat idea. I really liked putting that stuff in. And also, you'll see that I have a lot of things like this, like little places where you can kind of go up and into the caves. Just kind of showing little areas where there's like, where the water has kind of eroded away and just caused all these little miscellaneous little things all around the place. I'll try to point out a few more later on. So here is where the actual sarcophaguses, the sarcophagi, there's the plural term, of all the dead people would be placed. Again, all of these bodies would have been elves at some point, but they were exhumed, and then the humans put themselves in here to be buried and whatnot. So I like that design there. I think that worked out pretty good. Continuing our way down, next we're going to be going to the tomb of Lord Basilone. Is that not finished? I believe that's not finished right there. There we go. Not approved. That needs to be fixed. I will come back to that after the episode. But leading our way down this way, this is the tomb to Lord Basilone, the founder of Lumiere. And of course, you got another little human crypt down there that was specifically built. So before that, this must have been more of like just a natural little thing here. And then when the humans came, they kind of dug in it and made their tombs and whatnot. But I think we're going to go into Lord Basilone's tomb first. There we go. But yeah, it's not too bad. Got a little like armory slash representation of guards defending the tomb right there, and I like how that looks. Maybe this lighting is just not... What is wrong with this lighting? It's super annoying. Well, obviously we don't need lighting in here, but if you come down the hallway here, it leads down into the main ceremonial chamber of the Lord Basilone. He has the sarcophagi for all of his major commanders during his battles south, and also his all the lieutenants and whatnot, like the people in the army would be buried here. So basically all the people close to Basilone would be buried in this tomb. It would be considered a great honor to be buried with their commander. You come up here, we got a bunch of records and scrolls and just overall historical documents revolving around the life of Basilone. And if you come down this way, this leads down to the actual tomb. I like this design. Like, you have the half moon stairway that leads down. You got these, curving steps, and then it leads down to there. I'll show you guys that in a second. But if you come back up here, this is something I really like to add in, is this kind of treasury, because Basilone was a very rich individual indeed. But this is where he would be buried with all of his gold and miscellaneous gems and whatnot. But I'm thinking about later on in the episode, or later on in the series in general, adding in it so that those treasure vaults are actually dug into, and that the gold has been stolen by goblins or some kind of weird underground cultures or creatures that inhabit the Crystal Cavern. So we'll see what happens there. This right here is where Lord Basilone and his lovely wife are buried. This little kind of place right there, but it's not representative of, like, I don't have a sign next to it. It's just kind of insinuated there that this is where they are buried. So I didn't really want to put a sign here. It looks kind of cheesy, but it just kind of shows that, and you got these like runes here on the side. You know what? I'm tired of this. I'm changing the shader. Alright guys, so with a bip bop here and a bip bop there, I was able to fix the shaders a little bit so that we don't have that absolutely annoying glittery jittery thingamajiggy going on. So with that being said, we got a lot of these little, again, what I was trying to say earlier, all these little variations in the cave sides. Just, I really wanted there to be some more interest as you're looking through the cave, not just flat walls, and I think that I pretty well represented that. And if you come into here, this is another human tomb with all the kind of like tombs here along the edges, and then one that mysteriously fell into a deep hole. Ooh. But if you go down here, this is a sinkhole that is not finished yet. That will be finished when next time we do underground. But I kind of imagine that there's going to be some kind of goblins or underground creatures. So the first ones will be kind of stealing from Basilone's treasure, and then there would be like other like sort of tunnels leading up this way, and then they got their hands on an unsuspecting person that was making their down to pay respects to the dead and found themselves dead themselves. So yeah, so be careful when you're next time you go down to like Castle Crypts or something like that. You may be the unsuspecting victim of a goblin attack. So down here is where all the skeletons from all of the exhumed elves were thrown over the edge, and they were thrown down here, and mysteriously the crystal began to grow, and who knows why is that, but as we know, it's the water source and all that stuff in the dragon skeleton and whatnot. But in any case, the idea is that all these dead bodies down here fed the cycle of life and created and grew these just absolutely incredible crystals down here that are really quite interesting in their backstory. But there is a way right here. So literally there's a way everywhere. So if you are stuck down here in survival and you can't figure out how to get out, all you have to do is jump up here. You see you're at the end there. Jump up through here, and then you can make your way back up through this little cave, which will eventually lead you to another cavern. But we're going to go back up the official way so that we remain kind of on this track with where we are. So here we are again, back up in the top, and this is going to be our next route down into the stalactite cave. Alright, so that's, yeah, we're going to go down here. As you can see, I really tried to put in a lot of time into detailing. Ooh, what's that? You guys will see. But a lot of time into detailing. I tried to make sure that each of the cave walls were just very unique and different. I didn't want anything to be samey, but I really like how this chamber turned out. This is literally like, this is beautiful. Like if there's anything in this build that's closest to what the Crystal Cavern will look like, well, actually no. Another chamber up ahead might be even closer. But yeah, got a little sarcophagus in there. And if we make our way down this way, crystal light, and this leads us to an effigy room where the accolades of the lord that is buried here would be written. Probably the Elven lords runes are kind of covered up, possibly, and then these are the human. Now, what the human accolades are, and then we got another little tomb down here. Just a couple little things for a couple burial things, and then we make our way this way. Before we actually make our way down there, I'm going to show you guys up this way. It's a little secret path that leads us up to the Shrine of Ice and Fire. Now, again, this is not something that is like totally... it's just like an Easter egg, I suppose, but I suppose it could be added to the lore somehow as some kind of like religion or something. But the Ice and Fire kind of thing up here is not meant to be specifically a part of Lumiere lore. But you know, you got Jon Snow, and then you got that Targaryen girl, Daenerys, Stormborn, whatever. But yeah, this is kind of a representation of that, just for fun. And then yeah, thought that was a cool idea. Just something weird up here. I love this view of the cavern from here. Really, really, really nice view. We're gonna jump. Probably just broke an ankle and a leg and a rib and died, but we aren't going to worry about that. So this here is like a little, again, like effigy and whatnot, and this is a statue right here of, I guess, the original Elven Lord that was buried here, and the humans thought it was really cool, so they kept it. And then this is where the elf would actually be buried, over here in this stalagmite. But it's going to be down there eventually. We're going to finish it next time we do underground, because it's going to go somewhere special. A little cave in right here. Thought that was pretty cool. Also, I really like this up here, like a little offshoot of the cave. And who knows? Where do you think that might go right there? Aha! I will show you soon. You will find out. So that is that. Now we're gonna make our way back out. Alrighty, so there we are, out of the thingamajigger down there. This is going to be our next victim to explore. The way to get there is you go down this way and you walk up this little spiral step that leads up and around. Got a little garden right here. I really like the idea of having little like cave gardens. It just really made the overall experience more magical or something like that. So I liked the idea of doing that. A few little bats up there. Come on, move. There we go. But yeah, that's pretty cool, I thought. We come in here. This is where one of the human priests would be sitting, and just kind of sitting and watching over the Shrine of Shorefis, as pilgrims would come down to pay their respects and maybe, you know, say a special prayer to the god. Then this here is like a place to wash yourself and cleanse yourself of your sins, I suppose. And then you got some treasure here and some mosaics, a little altar with some jars and mysterious items and mysterious whatevers. And yeah, so that is that. Pretty ornate sides and things. This used to be an elven shrine, but then it got, all the artifacts were taken or pillaged to make Lumiere rich. And then once they were rich, they basically doubled their wealth and through business and stuff, and eventually were able to you know, put stuff back in it, make it look absolutely incredible, and then this is what you got here. So they are really rich now. We'll just say that. So now we're gonna head back down, and now we're going. Ooh, what's that? I forget what that is. It's like a place to put your name, kind of like a wedding thing. Like when you go to a wedding, you gotta kind of sign your name and draw a little picture representing the wedding. Anyways, so we're gonna make our way down this way. This leads to the Grand Tomb. I consider it the Grand Tomb. It's not the grand finale of this whole thing, but I think that it still has a pretty good vibe. The center tomb, which you can kind of see in there, is in the middle, and then all around we got these little miscellaneous little tiny tombs all the way around. I thought it was a good idea. Originally I was gonna make these all the same, but then I decided, yeah, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and make these each unique and interesting, so that each one can be explored and not considered the same as each other. Little design right there. But yeah, A lot of these aren't very epic. There's really not too much to see, especially around this side, because this is where I first started. But as we go around, things get a little bit more interesting as I start getting more ideas. The viewers started giving me some ideas of what to do, and I just really liked how things start progressing from this point on. This I kind of consider a place where some students or scholars came down here to kind of maybe on assignment to try to decipher some hieroglyphics possibly from the Elven era when they lived here, and so maybe they're trying to figure out Elven culture a little bit more. I kind of just, that's probably my best way of describing what's going on. But yeah, they kind of were down here on a research project. So here we have the Grand Tomb. But this is not the shader we want to see it in. This is the shader you want to see this place in. But yeah, I love how this place looks. You got the crystal down there in the water. You got the sarcophagus there in the middle. You got the crystals hanging from the ceiling. And of course, the green dome. They got the emerald / jade dome there. I really like that. And you got the really fancy design going around the outside. And then if you go underwater here, of course, you got just a layer of water right there. It doesn't flow all the way down. But yeah, I got all the crystal down here, and just really sets the tone that I was trying to go for. And it's dedicated to Zeus Gaming. He is a really awesome guy. He has supported me over on Twitch. Really, he's pretty crazy. But thank you again, Zeus Gaming, for your support. Really appreciated. But we will continue along here and see what else there is to see. Okay, so here is the, this is the treasury for the current human lord that is buried here. If you come around this way, is another little crypt for maybe a couple of his servants, his close friends possibly. And if we go down this tomb, this leads us to a little tree in here, overlooking a little pond. And you got an urn right there with some kind of like special water in it or something. And then if you go here, this leads down to a little bit of a laboratory. In ancient days, of course, the elves were using the crystal as some kind of a way to reach deeper into magic, and so there's a possibility that they'd have laboratories mixed in the crypts in their journey in order to try to figure out how to use the crystals more efficiently. So that is that. Come around, that was a garden in there, and this is a human style one, so maybe they kind of like removed the old Elven style and then humanified it up, kind of covered it up pretty much. If you lead down here, this leads into a collapsed tomb, so you don't even know what was down here, but I kind of represent it through some pillars and things that there was something here at some time, and some bats. Ooh, but yeah, there's that. And that is pretty much the Grand Green Dome Tomb. Oh my gosh, terrible at pronouncing things today. But that is that. And then to the last and most, I'd say the grand finale of this all of this is what we're about to see down this way. The tree shrine tomb thing. But I really like the entrance into it. It kind of makes it feel like all grand, and then it's like a cave again, and it's like natural, and then it's like grand again. It's like up and down, up and down. It just makes it so much more interesting, I think. So then this part is actually flooded. So if we make our way down this way, it's like you're supposed to be underwater, and maybe the water is kind of magical, so you can't really swim through it. And the person that was trying to swim through it, like maybe it's like made it feel like you're in, like you makes it feel like you're swimming normal, but possibly it like really is really thick. I don't know, some kind of magically infused water to make it really difficult to swim through. We'll just say that. All right. So from this point on, there's a lot of Elven artifacts, things that have not been found yet by the humans. So you got that right there. Got a little goblet right there with some kind of special water in it, and a little garden over here with a little mushroom. Miscellaneous plants, and a gazebo, an underground gazebo. Who would have thought? Another little place of some writing and runes. And if you come over here, a little hot bath. So if you need a bath on your pilgrimage down into the crypts down here, I'm sure that this is probably a very good place to sit and enjoy a bath. But coming up this way, we got an Indiana Jones type thing here. Thought that this was a pretty cool little idea to have. So if you just walk straight out, you're dead. But if you follow the system, you may survive. All you gotta do is follow the white on the roof, and that will lead you straight across this very deadly pit and over to the other side. Voila. But as you can see, we got these invisible blocks to represent that, so we can say that this chamber is kind of magical and has that kind of thing going on. So I really like how that works out. And if you come over here, is the little cave where maybe someone that fell down lived his last days a long time ago. And so that's that. And then we got a little like staff kind of stuck in the ground there, right there. Again, another elven artifact. And into the grand chamber. Lights on. So I have to destroy a block every time I come into here because it's like a light bug or something. But I had to fix that really quick. And now this is the proper way to view this chamber. It's not supposed to be natural light. It's supposed to be light from the tree. And I like how it looks. I really like how this chamber kind of comes to life with the natural light coming down. But I really think that's quite beautiful. And you can see the very elven influences with these pillars. You got the tree in the middle, and you got all these crystal lights and the mushrooms and plants and things just everywhere, representing all kinds of crazy stuff. But yeah, thought that's pretty cool. And then this is the grand finale right here. A ancient text possibly telling why or how the crystal can be used to help magical users reach deeper into the realms of chaos and such to without losing themselves to the chaos, and also at the same time using greater power. So maybe that's what that is. And so that is kind of the idea of this end chamber as a dedication to that book. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty good idea. So it's not necessarily a crypt, but it's more of a dedication to life. So it's like life and death, like it's the cycle of life represented through architecture and overall design by the elves when they first arrived in this area and found out what it was all about. So we're gonna make our way back up. I'm gonna try to find anything that we possibly might have not found, and then I'm gonna give you guys the overall view. All right, so I am fairly certain I have shown you everything, guys. But this is pretty crazy. I mean, look how much stuff we have. This episode includes all of this. Like, this is literally the size of Lumiere underground. Again, it took me 66 hours to finally finish this portion of the video, or this portion of Lumiere at that. But just imagine this, but double the size. That's going to be the next episode of Lumiere. Pretty crazy, if I must say so myself, but I am super excited for it. This has been a really exciting episode for me. I've been wanting to do this underground for a while. I'm always big on doing underground stuff and incorporating it into the lore. But in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and had a great time. We're gonna make our way back to the let's go to the Grand Cavern over here, and we will end the episode. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support and for being a part of this awesome journey here on the YouTubes and on this Lumiere series. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button down below. Comment. I love to see your feedback and ideas that might help improve the build overall. So definitely give me some ideas down below. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because there's a lot more content to come. So be sure to hit that big red button right below this video, right there. Right there. Hit that button, guys. But in any case, have a great day, have a great night. I will see you on the next episode. Till then, bye-bye.